Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my second YouTube live stream. It is now March 19th, 2020, Thursday. Welcome. Might be Raul. So anyway, I wanted to talk about Italy, South Korea, testing for COVID-19, and all different types of things. So just to bring you up to speed on the testing. How on earth could South Korea and China have more test kits than us? And is this thing about the World Health Organization offering us a test and us rejecting it, is that true? First of all, when uh, when China published the genome of coronavirus. I don't know if you know this, but a virus is a string of RNA, like DNA, but it's not a double helix. And so a virus is just a chain of proteins, incapable of surviving on its own. But in order to test for it definitively, you need a heated centrifuge and unfortunately, we had two different proprietary systems. And so not every lab could use like the same system or the same kits. Top that off with multinational corporations already having sold most of their supplies to emerging markets such as China and India with their reagents for the definitive testing. But also, there was a rapid test developed. It was developed by a multinational that based in North Carolina called Medomics, Biomedomics, and it was weird. They must have been devising it already before they came out with the genome, um, but they were ready to ship 500,000 test kits to China sometime in January. And the only thing is that it's not super accurate. They test the blood rather than the saliva and sputum, which is what the more established, accurate testing does. So they were testing a bunch of people, in their cars or wherever. I want to point out a couple of things, though. Number one, South Korea's population much lower than the United States. Second, the outbreak was centered in the southern city of Daegu. And third, that was 75% of cases. Third, 73% of those cases in Daegu were from one church, one Christian church called Shincheonji Church. And I don't even know, with all the news coming out, if you even heard about this, but apparently because they congregate so closely and live so closely, they had made a pilgrimage, I think, to the Holy Land. And they had brought back a lot of cases, or I don't know if brought back is the right term, but somehow they accounted for a lot of the cases of coronavirus. And so clearly, South Korea tested everybody in Daegu, probably, but probably not so much in Seoul. The thing is that you cannot test every single person who has a cold. I mean, that would overwhelm the system, and it would just take up too much manpower to do everyone. So that's the thing. Oh, hi. How you doing? Thanks for watching. Call me Chetta. Just getting the hang of this YouTube thing. Did you see? I got my own customized URL now for my YouTube channel. They wouldn't let me until I had a certain amount of followers or subscribers. So that's pretty cool. It'll be easier for people to find me now. I'll put it in the comments. So anyway, they had a lot of cases concentrated in one place in South Korea. And remember, the lady who is she is part of the triumvirate heading the coronavirus task force for the White House. She is a rock star when it comes to HIV/AIDS research. Okay, she is unimpeachable, impeccable. she was appointed by President Obama. She spearheaded basically finally finding the cure for AIDS. She was working in the army when HIV/AIDS hit the country so hard. And she has gone on her instinct often. When the World Health Organization said about 5 years ago for people to stop taking retroviral drugs for HIV/AIDS, she defied them and instructed everyone to keep taking them. And then there's an article from 2019 where a colleague of hers said that she ended up being right. So I'm not sure if she's the person who was directing the testing, but she certainly was the one who was answering the questions about it in the White House briefing room. And so she said, well, basically, you had about 96% negative results in South Korea. And that is because if you have a virus, such as the rhinovirus, the common cold, you are contagious as well. So, and I had a friend who went to the hospital in Ventura and he asked to be tested. And they said no, because at that time, the protocol was you either had to come in contact with someone, or you had to either have come back from China or come in contact with someone who had tested positive. And then they finally added that if you had viral pneumonia, you could be tested too. And I think maybe that should have happened earlier. But as far as I know, I don't think this was a fatal error, this testing issue. I do think that our multinational corporations, the ones that provide all the testing, the diagnostics corporations, really need to be focused more on the greater good, simply because they deal in. Let's say hi. Hi, everybody. Hi. Look, it's Uncle Bob. Look, he's saying hi, E. He typed it. Isn't that neat? Yeah. Okay,
hi, Uncle Bob.
Oh, and see, hi.
Wait, Raul.
It's a different.
Wait, the
It's
Raul.
a different Raul.
Hi, Raul. Wait, is it Raul?
Yeah. So you can't see. Okay. All right. That was our commercial break. Public service announcement.
Commercial break.
Do you wanna perform for the commercial break?
No, your commercial break is my head going dim.
Okay. Public service announcement. Be healthy. Drink water. Wash your hands. And don't touch anyone who's not your mommy. Oh, good. Raul says hi back.
Hi, Raul.
This is so much fun. Okay, but I want to get back to the testing now.
Hey, Uncle Bob, can you say hi back? Because hi, Uncle Bob.
Uh-oh. He's probably gone offline. Okay, I gotta finish this though. I don't want this to go on too long. Okay? So that we can play and stuff after.
Wait, how are people already?
No, oh yeah, he says hi back.
Another one.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
How about you read all of them?
It's just hey y'all, hi Tatiana, hi there, sweet, yay, hi E, hi, that's awesome, wave, hi back. Okay, now you gotta let me finish. Feel the love.
Wait, how do you say wave? Oh yeah, because
that's a wave. Okay, thank you for bearing with me, whoever that third person is. So, we were talking about multinationals and how they should be more focused on the greater good, because they were already looking at their profit stream in late 2019 as coming mostly from emerging markets. Now, this may have been because the FDA had been slow in approving their rapid blood test. I haven't dug further than that. But as we all know, bureaucracy can really destroy a lot of things. Yet I find it very interesting that the head of the person from the CDC in charge of this, who's Deborah Birx, Birx, and Anthony Fauci of the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, they clearly were overseeing the testing issue. And so, whatever happened with that, whether they were too slow on getting a rapid blood test or it was simply just the wheels of bureaucracy running slowly. Why is this the president's fault now? Both of those two people who are decision makers were they predated Donald Trump. Deborah Birx was appointed ambassador at large to deal with HIV/AIDS by Obama, and Anthony Fauci has been there forever. He's a dinosaur. So I mean, seems like Trump would be trying to surround himself with experts and listen to everything, which he has been doing since the very beginning. This is in reality land, as opposed to Trump derangement syndrome land. In reality land, Trump listens to a bunch of people of all different races and all different genders, and they broadcast it from the White House on YouTube. Yeah, and people watch it and people discuss real issues. I know it's hard to believe. So let's not blame Trump for this supposed lack of testing, because um, they finally expanded the guidelines now. So anybody who's shown signs of pneumonia can also get tested. And it seems like now you can just, if you have your doctor asked to get you tested, I think you can, but I think they still have those guidelines in place for a reason. Can you imagine if anybody who wanted to get tested in the United States started mobbing the place? I mean, there were only 500,000 test kits that China had. They obviously had some way of figuring out. Well, it was concentrated in Wuhan. That's why. Now let's talk about Italy. I just read, okay, everybody has probably heard that Italy has one of the highest elderly populations in the world. It's second, but 28.6% of Italians are over the age of 65, and it's something like 15% in the United States. Uh-oh, my connection is unstable. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry about that. It said the connection was unstable. Okay, so we're narrowing in now on Italy. Italy has a very large uh, portion of its population is over the age of 65, but that's not all. Many, many young Italians live with their grandparents. Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me. Call me Jetta. So they live with their grandparents, and many of them commute from the countryside to the cities to work every day. And so that's how they think it was spread throughout northern Italy. So sad, but isn't it ironic that the very cultural characteristic of Italy that makes it so great and so wonderful is the very thing that caused so much rapid contagion and as well as serious cases of coronavirus and death. So, another thing is we can look at Italy or Germany and elsewhere in Europe for evidence of what happens when you don't close your border right away. Of course, there are some people who will always hate the president, who will always say that he wasn't taking it seriously. But those of us who've been watching him since his inauguration, we know that he did not call it a hoax. He called the Democrat narrative, which was already trying to say that he was bungling it, a hoax. Personally, I don't think it's very productive to call anything a hoax. But sorry, I'm playing with my hair. I better go wash my hands after. So it's just, I don't know. I see these posts on social media from people that I used to really value and be close with, and they're saying, cut me out of your life. Cut yourself out of my life if you still support this president, because he has blood on his hands, because he's causing people to die in our country. And I'm here to tell you that's just simply absolutely faulty logic. And it makes me very sad to see posts like that. I hope that soon, we can at least unite and come together to defeat the coronavirus instead of cutting people out of our lives, which is what I've been saying since the very beginning. Since Trump won and since the inauguration, you cannot cut out 65 million people out of this country. And since I know that 65 million people are living in 2020 and are intelligent, hardworking business owners, entrepreneurs, simply just good people, I know that they're not all just sitting there thinking racist things and trying to keep foreigners out of the country. It's absolutely ridiculous that half or a third of the country still believes that. So maybe I should segue into the Chinese virus situation. I actually missed the briefing where Trump called it a Chinese virus. Obviously, there's been some back and forth because someone in China said that United States military personnel brought the virus over there. It's just an interesting idea. I still haven't ruled out that it is a bioweapon. We've never seen anything this contagious before, it seems like. I mean, measles is very contagious, but somehow it dies out. I mean, we have a vaccine, but even if we didn't have a vaccine, all the countries that have proper nutrition haven't had a measles death in like 50 years. So, but this attacks the lungs. And so another thing they said is that more men were dying in South Korea of coronavirus as it got serious because many more men in South Korea smoke than women. And in Italy, it's a little bit more flattened because more women smoke in Italy than women smoke in South Korea. So again, why does New York City have, I don't know, 2,000 cases all of a sudden? Um, well, it's probably because they have the highest concentration of people in any city per square mile. So that's probably it. Also, we know that when it first came to the country, it came through Washington State. It was a 35-year-old man who had traveled directly from Wuhan, China. And somehow he had contact with other people who then went to a party at a nursing home in Kirkland, Washington, called something Life Nursing Home. And apparently nobody was even like prepared or thinking about protective clothing or gear at all. And so when they finally figured out what had happened, it was too late. And then I just heard something that said the healthcare workers that were working at that facility had jobs at other facilities, which, you know what? That doesn't sound right to me, to have to work two jobs, let alone one in a senior center. You know how tiring and even upsetting at times that can be? So anyway, that it just metastasized after it went through that nursing home. We know that, and half the deaths at that point, we had like, I think last week we had like 40 deaths. Well, half of those were from the nursing home in Kirkland, Washington. So it could be a bioweapon, and a lot of people are saying, okay, it's a bioweapon, or it's not serious, it's a hoax, or, the Democrats are trying to take advantage. And you know what? All of the above can be true. It can be a bioweapon. It can be a oops or not. It can be a bioweapon deliberately released, or it could be something that was sabotaged by Democrats or people who are employed within the federal government to sort of sabotage the situation. I'm thinking about the rapid tests that were sold to China and Korea instead of being sold here or approved by the FDA. The government is very, very large, as we're seeing. So let's not get it confused or twisted, because you know, we can see that there are some people working with the president and there are some people working against the president. And it's very obvious when that happens. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, I don't want to go too long, but I want everybody to know that you shouldn't feel like you can't support the president because somehow he dropped the ball on coronavirus. It's just not the case. And when I watched his briefing, that is one thing. I watched his briefing this morning, and I will say he was talking about himself um, quite a bit. And there were a lot of people on Facebook who were saying, oh my God, can you just get an expert in here? Some of them weren't even that hateful. They were just like, why is he rambling on when we just want to know, what you've got going on? And I felt like saying, yes, talk about the therapies. The therapy is hydroxy, uh, hyd- what is that? Hydroxyquinone or oxyquinone something, which was used on malaria. And oh God, I gotta go to the right window. Yeah, hold on. And then the other one I've talked about a lot, remdesivir. I've talked about remdesivir quite a bit, and it's still in the third phase of clinical trials. So that is really good news. And I just wish Trump could come out and hit everybody really hard with this, Good news. Remdesivir is almost going to be out of its clinical trial. And guess what? It was already used with right to try. And he actually did say that, but he just took so long to get around to the point that it was a little tiresome, But this is what I would say to you. Why do we have to continually bash this man when we know he's not a politician? When we know that he has idiosyncrasies, right? Okay, I just saw your questions. Okay, let me finish with that's what I was looking for. Hydroxy. Do you remember the name of it, Raul? Uh, I'm surprised I didn't write it down. But I think it seems like I've heard from multiple sources, Raul, that malaria drug is effective, and it seems like it's already been used on a right to try basis, just like remdesivir that I reported on. And so I don't see why this isn't making the market go up more. I mean, if they're already using it as a right to try and they're finishing up their clinical trials, phase 3 of their clinical trials, then we are quite close to being able to use it. And this is another thing I would say. I was worried that we wouldn't have enough, but the makers of Remdesivir, Gilead Sciences, chloro. Oh, right. Okay. Chloroquine. Yeah. Hydroxychloroquine. Yeah. Thanks, Roll. So, anyway, writing that down. Oh, this man, he's idiosyncratic, right? Uh, he talks about himself, right? But at his rallies, he not only talks about himself, he jokes about himself. He not only jokes about himself, he talks about the American people. He talks about the forgotten man and woman. And if you're still saying that woman is just some forgotten man and woman is just some trailer trash that is racist, I mean, God help you, Hi, honey. So, what I'm trying to say is if you're going to be stuck on his delivery, then we're going to stay divided. And even in a life or death situation, we're going to still be acting like fools with our heads up our asses. And I am so sick of seeing the just all out hate for this man who gets up early in the morning, sleeps 4 hours a night, flies around the country, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, constantly moves and works to have a positive attitude, which is different than sweeping something under the rug. I just want to say, don't get hung up on delivery because we need to be way past that point. And remember, Obama wasn't very good without his teleprompter, hardly ever. Trump at least can talk without the teleprompter and make jokes and be genuinely funny. Obama had to be on script, And I challenge any one of you to argue with me that point and say that when he didn't have his script, he sounded, he sounded lucid and easy to listen to. He did not. He would do all constantly was doing and the reality of it. Look, 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 look. All right, guys. So I think that by April, oh, I know what I was going to say. We have a stockpile. We have a stockpile of remdesivir, stockpile of it, because it was developed for Ebola. And Gilead Sciences said that they have maintained the stockpile as well as they've maintained a stockpile of the chemicals used to produce remdesivir, and that they're already ramping up production. So not sure why the president has taken so long to talk about this drug, because I think people need hope. But there you have it. Hey, if you're hiring White House and you'd like me to help streamline your message so that it really gets to everybody, hey, I'm available. I can move quickly. Okay, folks, thanks for watching and keep the faith, and I'll check in soon. Bye.